Beer, 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 beer. Hop on brewerytours.com.au because beer.
Every business knows they need great marketing, but it's often hard to know what works and what you should be doing, let alone finding the time to do it. Abby and her team at Crisp Communications take all this hassle away, creating beautiful marketing that helps businesses put their best foot forward. They don't just deliver great results, they're also super easy to work with and practice what they preach with great communication all along the way. So if you need a new website, new branding, new brochures, or even help with your podcast, head to crispcoms.co to find out more.
Deep into the goal square or thereabouts, big pack. Barat was up, picked off here, McCluggage.
They turn it over, they've got Fletcher wide open, and he makes them pay.
Mark is taken here by Gallup. Inside 50 they go, and they let it rip, Rayner. Superb. On to Rayner. Rayner and his non-preferred from 50 metres out. Cameron marks on the behind line. Runs, plays on. They lead it by 17. Got it out the back to Bailey. No looker. Rayner strolls through and drills it.
The Brisbane Lions have the double chance.
The Brisbane Lions Fancast is back after a big week. We find ourselves recording on a Monday midday after the last round Sunday night game at the Gabba against the Hawks. What a win it was. Very frustrating at times. And I found myself sitting there at the Gabba forecasting Chris Fagan's press conference of him saying, well, you don't have 34 shots on goal and, you know, generally that always wins. So thankfully we didn't have to deal with that. We got the win. The home and away season is done. We've got a top 4 position locked in and a qualifying final against the Cats. Most likely the MCG locked away in a week and a half's time.
What's the less likely?
It is good to be back in finals. Well, I don't know. I guess, you know, GMHBA.
Not going to happen.
I know, it's crazy. I do feel bad for them because the AFL's like, well, if you want a home final, build a better stadium. So they did, and they're still not getting it.
Yeah.
So
they'll get 80,000
play the Suns,
there, so they'll be fine.
Yeah. If it's anything close to last year's prelim final, it should be an absolute ball terror. I was having a chat to the guys from the Hoops crew. They've had a soft run into the finals in terms of their opponent, but they've got a clean bill of health, whereas we've had nothing but top 8 teams in Sydney for the last 6 odd weeks, and we are a bit banged up. We should welcome back a couple of troops, but we will get back to that in a little bit of time. Plenty to talk about today. Make sure you like, subscribe, follow, all that sort of stuff. Leave us a review. Buy the shirts. You can get them at brisbanelionsfancast.com.au. We've had a few people reach out. It's been a bit of an issue with the shipping of those shirts, so big apologies for anyone that might be happening to. So we designed them, they print and ship them, and there's been a bit of a stuff around, so we're actually looking into a new supplier for those ones. And of course, don't forget, if you really like the show, you can throw us some money at the tip jar that you can do through the website as well. And Pat, you've got something to say while I look up who's sent us some money.
For anyone who is uncertain about shirts, just be fully aware, if something falls through, I will punch JB. So You have that guarantee that there will be physical reprimand. So don't fear. You can attest to that, right?
Well, there you go.
You know that I'd follow through, right?
Yes, absolutely. A big shout out to Adam and Chris who sent through some money that tip jar across the week. So a massive thank you. It is very much appreciated. All right, Pat, top 4, 3rd position locked away in a pretty big home and away season, one that Chris Fagan has called the best ever in his time coaching, and it's hard to disagree with, you know, the injuries we've had, and of course the tough fixture. I know you've been dying on the hill that last year was tougher, and there were definitely probably more interruptions across the year, but this year certainly was a tough slog.
I think I have to go back on my word and say that yes, contextually this year is more difficult in terms of the teams we've played. Last year the travel was worse, but yeah, I think I have to eat my words, which is something that I can do.
It's good to hear. Oh, wow. Where do we start with this one? Should we start with 0 goals 8 to kick off proceedings last night?
No, let's start with the third milestone man missing, E. Hipwood.
Yeah.
So, again, it happened. I called it, and we did our ins and outs, and then we hear that Premiership player Eric Hipwood had done his calf and would be out to 3 to 4 weeks, or out for 3 to 4 weeks, rather. So that was a blow. We got to see a slight new look in the forward line, which I think, I messaged you during the week and said, wouldn't it be a real pisser for everyone if they just put Gardner forward and brought in Darragh Joyce, and that would give everybody conniptions.
Oh, yes, it would.
But they went with the horsey, and that was good.
Yeah.
And it was good news about Jared Berry too. So,
yeah, I'm glad they didn't rush him for this game. I was very happy for him to have this week off because I thought that position we could cover with, a team of people. And I thought Tunstall coming in probably would have played the full game, actually, and maybe Bruce might have been sub. Either way, I'm glad Berry got the week off, an extra week to recover from that shoulder, so he gets 2 full. It'll be close to 3 weeks by the time he comes back. Get a little bit of strength in there, strap it up, jab it out, and he'll be ready to go for the game against the Cats as well. So that's something to look forward to.
It's an interesting point in the season where, we're playing for rest. It's like every game we win is time we buy for ourselves. So, you're looking at it going, oh, well, I know there was some people, and it might have been tongue-in-cheek, sort of saying, oh, well, if we lose, then we have to play, Fremantle, and it'll be an away trip all the way to the MCG, and we can do it because we've been great on the road. But I think the team probably could do with weeks off more than continuous running at this point in time, at this point in their... how many games straight in the AFL have we played now? Like 47?
Yeah, ridiculous. A ridiculous amount.
So I think, it's funny the idea of like, guys, you're playing to have a week off, which is essentially what they're doing. They're playing to have a week off. They're playing to have that potential to have another one. But how did you find the other results going into this game? Because we might as well start there and then we'll come to our blokes because that's what we do. But going into the game, it was very much the case of, we finish third if we win. Hawthorn finish third if they win, and then it's basically Hawthorn 8th. Us, we would have been what, 7th?
Something around there, yeah. There's still, and that Gold Coast loss on Friday, it sort of shakes things up as well because, depending on how much they beat Essendon by, or if they beat Essendon, depending how much they beat Essendon by will determine where they finish as well.
This could be one of the great chokes as well for Gold Coast.
It could be. It really would be. I mean, it's a bad enough choke for the Dogs as it is.
But this Gold Coast one, it could be all time. Absolutely all time. And we don't hate the Gold Coast. I mean, we do kind of. But it's like, I really don't like Damien Hardwick. So I'm a bit torn because I'm like, well, you've got the great choke of Damien Hardwick plus the come on, Gold Coast, just do it.
Do the thing, please. Yeah.
A bit like Fremantle. But there were minimal... I mean, there were some good games, but just it's sort of... Yeah, bit of a weird round, Like, Collingwood kind of a bit got away with it, but they were probably good value for it against Melbourne. The Bulldogs got absolutely blown apart.
Yeah.
Caleb Sarong decided to turn up at quarter time and played a good game, so...
And then, of course, Giants did what they needed to do to secure their spot. It was a very interesting final round with a lot of junk in there as well.
Yeah, but did you watch the Port Gold Coast game?
I did, yeah. And because, I'm sort of sitting here cheering for the Gold Coast as well. I've got friends that are big Gold Coast supporters. I think it'll be good for the competition that they finally actually play some finals. I did find myself there watching it as well going like, I me, I don't like Port Adelaide and Ken Hinkley has rubbed me up the wrong way for a long time, but I've liked Ken Hinkley in the last 10 weeks. He just looks... completely free and relieved of all of the bullshit that goes on with the AFL and his constant conjecture about his future and all that sort of stuff. He looks like he's just having fun and enjoying life at the moment, and I like Travis Boak. I think he plays footy in the right way, and I think he's I think he's great. So I wasn't going for them, but I found myself going, like, if they win, I won't be terribly unhappy because they've still got this game against the Essendon to cement a spot.
And they better do better, Gold Coast.
Yeah.
So came to us. So the ins and outs, they were pretty much, pretty forecast, you know. Berry came out, Lohman came in, someone else came back in. Can't remember who. Who was it?
Gallup and Tunstall came in.
That's correct. Tunstall, good to see. The handsome fella he is. I think there's quite a few that would like to see more of him, as it were.
Well, who knows what's going to happen there. I don't know how much game time he got in the end. It's hard to tell, but obviously not much because that's the way we use our sub. I thought, especially in the diet moments, he took a pretty handy intercept mark in the D50.
How clenched were you when he looked inboard?
Oh man. Look, I'm just glad that the mark was taken and everything sort of worked out. But I do like that he can come into the system and we play that system sort of no matter what, which was good. The one thing I probably wasn't happy about in that last quarter was when Starcevic was taking kick-ins and sort of wasn't trying to bite off those kicks. He was taking his sweet time. And I get there's a time and place for that in certain aspects. And then he would end up just bombing it down the line. Whereas, a Fletcher, a Wilmot, a Zorko would try and get the ball moving and, more often than not go up the guts. And I think we probably could have afforded, with the gap we had in that game, to keep pressing for that. But, it's all's well that ends well, I suppose.
I think tactically they were looking for the short kick with the run coming through, which happened quite a lot. Because I think it was sort of forecast that we were doing that from the kicker. So when it was Wilmot kicking, then running on, whereas they were kind of introducing a third man and having one kick to the guy, then one run past from the side, which good for them. Carl Amon got a lot of kicks. Quite a lot of them were kickouts. So don't care. Sicily, man, that guy can kick the ball a long way, but he is super annoying. Your mate Blake Hardwick.
He was good.
The first quarter, I'm sure you've seen this, but Jai Newcomb, the softest soft man. You decide. Grabs Will Ashcroft around the neck, and Levi goes straight into remonstrate, and Blake Hardwick basically, a la some kind of medieval torture situation, goes like, "I'm going to pin your arms and make you watch as your brother gets."
Yeah, just bear hugs him and holds him back.
And you can see him there chirping, going like, "Watch your brother get..." It's weird, very weird. The unsociable Hawks, as it were. But by golly, do they go after the young players?
Yeah, and how tough is that?
Not is the answer.
It all started before the first bounce with Zorko and Ginnivan. I thought, obviously it's fun for the game to have that little bit of theatre, and two of the biggest pests in the game has seen in the last 15 years sort of lining up against each other and getting stuck in. So I thought that was a little bit of fun. Zorko carrying on a little bit.
So we had a rare Channel 7 win, which was the bounce was playing, and on Channel 7 you've got Bruce McAvaney, talking about Zorko's career with Luke Hodge and Kane Corns, which, say what you want about those two. But to have the Bruce Meister there, it was a good pre-game. So
yeah, what was the point of wheeling out Bruce McAvaney?
None. Because the game deserved it, I assume. They wanted to try and capture that audience. Unfortunately, when it got to the bounce, as it were, and it was James Brayshaw and BT, I flicked over because I feel like Howie and the racing guy, Matt Hill, were probably a more palatable lot. Although people didn't like Brownie, but Brownie's fine. He's one of us. So for anyone who's here listening that isn't a Lion, which is all of about 0.5 of a person, and you are annoyed by Brownie waffling on, it happens the other way around all the time, actually. Jordan Lewis,
Yeah,
anybody?
definitely.
Gary Lyon, Dermot. Like, it's flooded. So eat it and get out of here. 0 goals, 8.
Oh, yeah. It was, we were Fremantle this week. Jeez. And probably the most annoying part of the whole thing, aside from the fact that, Hawthorn would just torch us on turnover and get it straight to Marbio Chol and they would kick a goal after we worked so hard, is that we were finally getting decent marks inside 50. Like, Day took a couple, Charlie was getting on the end of a few, and that's sort of not really been our strong suit. It was taking marks inside 50, and we were finally getting them and then just finding every which way to butcher the kicks.
We were getting absolutely no reward for effort and no reward for doing the right thing. And, you're just waiting for someone to, like, selfishly burn 5 guys and, like, bounce it off the ground twice and it to bobble in and go like, well, that's how you kick a goal. It's like, but that's not how they should be doing it, please. Just, like, do it the correct way, because there are a couple of really, really nice sort of, stringing together of play. We heard your mate Hoyne talk about our pressure early on and how you can tell if we're on or we're off. Now, I thought we were on, but then they were also going from deep 50 to forward 50 quite easily in the first quarter.
Yeah.
Whether that was that we hadn't sort of figured out our defensive setup behind the ball, or whether... I don't think it was necessarily a laziness thing, but shit. It was foreboding.
It reminded me of the Sydney game quite a lot. It's just like we'd get it in our 50, and God, we had our forward half game on nice and early, and I thought that aspect of it was like, yeah, we're on, but then get torched on turnover. If the ball hits the deck, there's 5-6 Hawks there, and they're all there for a short chain of handballs until it blows out. It's like, if you've got 5 or 6 around the ball there,
how do they have one out the back?
2 or 3 out the back. Yeah, it's crazy. And they did everything they possibly could to avoid Harris Andrews, which, technically good stuff from the Hawks there as well. Sort of evened itself out in the back half where Harris yet again stamped his authority on the game. Getting torched on turnover a little bit, and in a very similar way that the Swans got us, 3 or 4 weeks ago.
We did do something a little bit different, and we've seen these calamitous goal kicking things. Just sort of, it's not like they're obviously the reason why we've lost games, and it's infectious, but it almost derails the whole game. And it kind of stops us from being able to kick like clutch, important goals for whatever reason. But it seemed like we sort of just turned the page and went, well, we'll just keep going. But far out, we didn't really help ourselves. And we kept kicking awfully. But it didn't really affect how we played, which I think is a very good thing, because that doesn't often happen. We don't turn it around like that.
No.
Make sense of that rambling.
Look, I'm like I said at the start of the show, I'm just glad it all worked out and we weren't sitting here going, oh my God, another game we've pissed away with so many entries inside 50, so many shots on goal, and another one that we're sitting here going, oh God, we really should have pinched that one. So glad we did. Very similar to the Bulldogs, 10 more scoring shots, won by 10 points. So mark that one in the books, forget about it, and attack a final season.
Now, question for the trivia monkeys out there that don't exist. But so I know Carl Amon's shot at 3/4 time was chalked off because of the siren. I wonder when the last game where 4 shots were taken on or very close to the siren, because we had Newcomb in the first quarter, Ginnivan, Amon, and then Rev. The end of every quarter. Someone dig something about that out for me, and I will look at it, smile, and move on with my life. So, yes. Second quarter, we came in and we were on top anyway, so it didn't really matter. But we got the goal. Hugh McCluggage dug us out. And isn't he a player?
Isn't he what? If he doesn't make All-Australian this year, I don't know what I'm going to do. Pitchforks, riding.
Where do they have that thing? Melbourne? I'll take the train up. I don't have any threatening things. But, I'll be there and I'll rabble.
Yeah. And he was absolutely immense, and I'm sure he's going to feature in my vote, spoiler alert, and I'm sure he'll feature in yours as well when we get to them in a few minutes' time. But no, he was amazing. I thought Darcy Gardner across the night was actually really good as well. I don't think he lost a contest that he was directly involved in. Froggy, I think, got the matchup on Chol early and obviously let him get off the chain a little bit, but that corrected itself. Mitch Lewis had barely anything to say except for that one free kick he got from a dubious call. Gunston had one of his worst games. Like, he still ended up with 2 goals, I think, but one of his worst games for the year. Kalshadir was basically... he had a couple of shots. I don't know if he ended up scoring in the end. I'd have to double-check that. And their smalls, Watson got that one at the end. Connor McDonald did bugger all. I thought Bruce had a really good game on him. One interesting thing that I did find is that Cal Archie played a lot of footy up on the wing. And the Ashcroft boys played a lot more in the forward 50, especially Levi, which was a little bit strange.
So I think with Callum Archie's versatility, him playing on the wing and having that kind of marking outlet, I think is the big thing that you lose when Barry goes out of the team is having that extra one. And what we're finding is when Lohman went out of the team, we brought Marshall in. We were actually sort of playing like a 7th midfielder in to drop into the contest to then try and make space for Lohman and Logan Morris to try and get him those isolated one-on-ones. So we're almost, it's like a weird, not quite insane version of Pagan's Paddock, Dennis Pagan, not Chris Fagan, Brian, which I think that's probably the reason why. So you saw Lohman come in, so you've got him and Charlie, and then the 3 talls creating that kind of 5, and then you're dropping one into the stoppage, which will be interesting against Geelong because we know that they like to drop one off into their defensive 50 in Stewart, so they'll often have a forward come with, and it'll be a tactical nightmare.
It really will be. I'm looking forward to this matchup though against the Cats. It's another chapter in the Brisbane Geelong finals matchup series.
Did you hear an interesting stat that it's the first time that the Lions and Geelong will meet in the finals that isn't a prelim?
Yeah, it's crazy, isn't it?
So could be good. I mean, I think everyone is largely looking forward to it. I think the Cats fans are a little bit worried. I think we're relatively confident, but at the same time, it's uncertain. But there was one interesting moment where I couldn't help but think smugly. They flashed up the top disposal getters, and it was W Ashcroft, L Ashcroft, and S Marshall on the screen as Fletcher kicked a goal.
Yeah, crazy.
And I'm sitting there going, "Oh, sucked in, everyone else. Have the academies and the father-sons kill you. I don't care." So that was good.
It was a good get for the club across the week. Obviously, 5 players named in the all 5 that were named in the squad made the 22 under 22, which was absolutely fantastic to see. Of course, a club that's been contending for the last 7 years, and I've obviously got a really good core of young players as well, and we had 9 last night, 22 and under, which is absolutely unfathomable to think, but at the same time, a lot of those kids really stood up, and Darcy Wilmot really headlined that. Logan, one of his quieter games. I thought Ty Gallup was really good. Obviously didn't hit the scoreboard, but his follow-up work, his second efforts, his tackling pressure, and for a big boy, he's got a bit of speed.
He has got that little bit of mongrel to him, which I don't mind. Ended, I think, with 4 tackles. So I think he played his role really well, and he was given kind of that license to kind of create chaos, because rather than when he came in the Adelaide game where he was having to be that kind of focal point that Day was. And I thought Day, aside from that one where he just missed his shoe, like he just dropped the ball, which was a bit annoying in the third quarter, he was really good. And it is interesting when you look at what he brings. He rarely gets outmarked, and it's almost to the point where he sometimes could try to take the mark rather than just bring the ball to ground. It's almost like his first thought is to bring the ball to ground. So it's a very kind of interesting anomaly, but he seemed to really enjoy the win. It was a shame he couldn't get a couple of those shots in early, but he just kept fronting up, and it won't read very well. And interesting, after last week when Eric Hipwood got 3 disposals, and then you find out that he played with a torn calf or strained calf for the big majority of it. Not high numbers, but they did their job, and we were able to kick a winning score, which it's in the song. So that's what we obviously want to do. And also we kicked 1 million behinds. So maybe this could have been one of those fabled, get the calculator out and find out that we should have kicked 160 or whatever. So I think they all did their role very well.
Yeah, I mean, I'm sitting there in the third quarter and we've had, 10, 11 more scoring shots. And you're sitting there thinking, like, conceivably we could be 60, 70 points up right now. But we're not, because we've just absolutely squandered a lot of opportunities early in that game. And I know it obviously doesn't work like that. But even to be 5, 6, 7 goals up, to put that scoreboard pressure on, really would have made for I guess just to really stamp Hawthorn out of the game. And, instead we're sitting there with, less than 5 minutes on the clock and they're within 3 points. And you're like, come on, like, please, I'm begging you.
I must admit, the last quarter got me a little bit stressed.
Yeah.
Because they had quite a lot of territory. They were a little bit inaccurate in that last quarter, and it was good to see us kind of hit back the other way. Howie mentioned on commentary, he said, I don't know if you're an expected score kind of person, but the Lions should be up by like 43 points, I think, when we were up by a goal or level or whatever. Yeah, it was early on in the game, and sort of Brownie bit and was like, oh yeah, I mean, what's that sort of actually mean though, really? And then he's like, oh, it's sort of, how would you feel the game should be? And Brownie goes, I feel like they should be 43 points up. So he got the memo and threw it back at him fantastically well. So, all in all, I think Reville missed that shot right at the end just so that we could win by 10 behinds like we did against the Bulldogs, because it's fun. When has that happened? And aside from that, the play, they just seemed pretty secure. They lifted. There was a chain of tackles that happened, and I know Ginnivan scored a goal after this point, but it's right on the 10-minute mark where there's like a smother, like 3 tackles. Gardner absolute pile drive someone, and you sort of think that if you look at that and go, I really don't think we're going to lose from here, because that's late finals. That's the stuff, by the way, that I'm talking about, where I say teams like Adelaide and teams like Gold Coast and teams like Fremantle haven't really had to deal with that. And, I don't want to hear all about the it's a finals-like game. It's got to be a finals-like game against a finals-like team playing finals-like footy. So I don't necessarily think that, them playing the Bulldogs, for example, is a finals-like game. Fremantle, that is. Because the Bulldogs aren't really... I mean, they're there, they're trickling, but they're not really, they don't know how to win finals the way that we do. So, I don't know. Bit nebulous, but here we are. So, in the end, we won the game.
We did, and it was nerve-wracking. Thankfully, no more injuries to come out of it as well. The question's going to remain. Obviously, Neil and Barry will come in for the first final. Whether Gallup holds his spot, or they decide to mix things up again and bring in Henry Smith, or... That's probably the only other option. I wouldn't be mucking with the lineup too much now. Connor McKenna will be available as well. Does he have a role to play? Maybe, maybe not. Tunstall, Luke Beacon, all these sort of guys that have been in and around on the fringes. It remains to be seen. The VFL will play this week as well, so we might have a better idea in a week or so's time. So, good. I thought Darcy fought really good again as well against Lloyd Meek. Obviously,
Lloyd Meek's been a problem in the past, and
I
mean, Fort just is there. His hands are good. His relationship with the midfield is good. He's very consistent in what you know to expect from him, and it's allowing us to play consistent football. So, whilst he probably doesn't have kind of the ceiling of Big O, he's got kind of that middle point, which is probably easier for a midfield group to then work around. So, I mean, I think we've both been in agreement for a while that he'll rock out the remainder of the season, which is a bit of a shame, but you never know what can happen.
I mean, yeah, that's it. Bloody Darcy Fort might do a leg in a prelim, and then, reversal of last year. Oscar McInerney.
Is the tree made of actual wood?
It is not.
Oh.
I'm just saying, reverse situation, Oscar comes in for the grand final and he's the hero. Hopefully not something we have to deal with. No more injuries, please. No more injuries, please. Should we get into our top 3?
We can try, because I didn't write them down. I mentally wrote them down and then forgot all about them. So you go first and I'll try and pick up the pieces.
Okay, 3, obviously the milestone men, Zorko and Charlie Cameron. Good to get a bit of country roads going at the Gabba. And the Gabba crowd as a whole, I think the attention, the context of it being an important game, the atmosphere was much better this week. A lot of Hawthorn fans in the crowd as well, I think sort of helped. There was definitely a bit of competition in that respect.
Were there any drunken melees on the sideline?
Not that I saw.
I don't think we talked about that, but that, horrible, but also objectively really funny.
2, I like the Ashcroft boys getting in a bit of a scrap. You know, the one you mentioned before as well, and then later on with Ginnivan, and then Levi just coming in and just throwing Ginnivan down and walking away. And 3rd is Ty Gallop, and just his second efforts, his follow-up work, his pressure, his tackling. I thought that was really, really good. Really good signs. We sit here and, you and I and others, we're Hipwood defenders. Yes, would we like him to be able to do more, do everything, hit the scoreboard and be kicking 2-3 goals a game every week? Of course. But I don't think he's the basket case that a lot of people do. But to have Gallop come in and bring something a little bit different, not necessarily everything that Hipwood did, he didn't, work his way up the ground and take some relieving marks and then things like that. But I thought his ball use was pretty good when he did get it. He made the right decisions. I thought it was a really good game for him, and I hope he holds his spot.
I think absolutely he'll hold his spot. There's no reason, and I think to have 2 less mobile guys in Day and Smith playing together would be not what you want.
Yeah.
So I think there's no question that he does. What I will say about Gallop is, if he can build, I don't know what his tank is or his potential for his running capacity is, but if he can put together a really good preseason, and let's say Eric has another interrupted one, there's no reason why our forward line at the beginning of next year couldn't be Morris, Gallop, and Oscar Allen. So yeah. Hipwood's got some work to do, which is good. I think that is good because, although kind of the hyperbole is that Hipwood is useless, he hasn't really had a great deal of competition for spot in his time at the club because we haven't had anything close to the caliber we've got in terms of key forward stocks. So this could be good for him. It could bring out the best in Eric, and it could also help Gallop to build and be a better player as well because he knows the elements of his game that can benefit a team by looking at what Eric does. So that's good. My top 3, number 1, the bullshit chants ringing out at the Gabba. Loved it. Very throwback, very 1999. Loved it. Now, the other ones, these are going to be a little bit weird. That passage of play, now, if you want to go and find it, it's bang on the 10-minute, just before it ticks into the 9s of the last quarter, where there's a Darcy Wilmot tackle, there's a smother, there's a ball break, they're out the back in droves. There's a smother, a big tackle. Love that. We know I love tackles. And I think I'm going to just say Hugh McCluggage in a general sense because I think the way that he goes about the game and his temperament it's the actual kind of barometer for where the game's at, where if he is pissed off or if he is up and about or if he is celebrating, that it's a big deal because he doesn't just do it. It's like the everyman's reaction. He's not overreacting to a situation. He's often calming down. He's often bringing up. And when he kicks those important goals, I know that he'll get votes for both of us and he'll probably make an All-Australian. But can you imagine if it was a big Melbourne club? It was Cripps.
Oh, crazy.
If it was fucking... Who's another person? I don't know. Anyone else that was...
or whatever, yeah.
And they were getting kind of the consistency in game and the attacking threat that he gets. And he's starting to get plaudits now. But it is about 5 years too late.
Yeah.
It's like they've slept on him forever. So Hugh McCluggage, the real barometer. And then a sneaky little shout out to Pat McAfee being at the game. Now, I know he was a Dirty Pies fan back in the COVID days, but it was good to see him in the Lions gear.
And that barrel from 50, he absolutely flushed. And I'm not sure how many takes it took to get that one shot, but
I would wager not many, because he did buy a Sharon and get one shipped over to the States. I think he's a pretty genuine guy. I don't know him too much from his NFL stuff. I know he sometimes commentates maybe on the wrestling, which I don't watch much of, but I mean, everyone watches the Royal Rumble. Let's be serious.
All right, well, you did touch on it there in your top three and our chat about Ty Gallup. Oscar Allen has officially told West Coast he's out and he'll be looking to join us. It looks like a 5 or a 6 year deal. That's obviously huge news for the club. Interesting that, well, I don't know that he's necessarily named Brisbane. I think he's just told West Coast he's going to exercise his free agent rights, because I do remember when Dunkley was coming, it's like, oh, it's between us and Port Adelaide. And then it didn't make sense that he didn't mention anyone, but it's because we were still in the finals race. And as soon as we got knocked out, I was like, hey, I want to go to Brisbane. So it is a bit strange that this one's come out a little bit earlier. I think everyone's just, connecting the dots that Brisbane is probably the club. I mean, it's been sort of more or less confirmed, like 85% confirmed for the last few months that he's going to be coming here. So it is basically official now. So that's exciting stuff.
Yeah, it will make us a better team next year, and given what we've done this year, it's impressive. And I think it's I find it amazing that you have all this talk about equalisation when you've got a club like us that have worked super hard to get into a place where we are, and then it's all of a sudden it's like, what free agency? He's going here. It's like, hey, where were you guys when Tom Lynch went to Richmond?
Yeah.
Nowhere. Absolutely nowhere. When the team that had won the premiership, nah, not having it. 3 father-sons in the last 20 years. And we've had, 2 academy players?
Something like that, yeah.
Actual tangible academy. I know Harris and Eric were kind of academy players.
I think Jack Payne might have been in the academy, potentially, as well.
But also, he was picked 700. So it's like, I don't think that... there were very few instances where... I know Connor Ballenden was one where he was an academy that we bid on, and it was like no one cared about him.
Yeah. I think the academy's the angst is sort of more directed to Gold Coast because they've had so many in the last couple of years, and I think the father sons is obviously us because same thing, we've had some pretty good ones come in the last couple of years. But as you said, no one would have given a shit if we had got those father sons in 2014. They would have been like, oh no, yeah.
And I know this might be entirely wrong, but if we were in an absolute basket case as a club, there's no guarantee that those father sons come to your club.
Murphy decided not to.
Yeah, I think if we had been at the bottom of the table, the Ashcrofts are the kind of guys that want to win and need to win. Yeah. And I don't know 100% if one or both of them would come to the club if we were absolutely calamitous. And I don't think anyone would bat an eyelid in the AFL. They would just be like, oh, well, you should have been better. It's like, what? What I will say is I know that we've talked a little bit about Cooper Hodge, and the romance of you want him to go to Hawthorn.
Yes.
But if you're Luke Hodge and you're looking around at the dressing room and you're going, well, my son will be surrounded with Ginnivan and Sicily and schmucks like that.
Yep.
Or you look around and go, well, the Ashcrofts and Lockie Neal and Harris Andrews. As a parent, I think it's a very easy decision to where you would want.
Yeah, but you're thinking like you and not Luke Hodge. Because Luke Hodge was a big part of creating that unsociable Hawks culture. True. With Sammy Mitchell.
I'm also not a parent, so
yeah.
But look,
you know where I stand on this, and I hope he does play for Hawthorn. If he comes to us, obviously, that's great. I won't feel bloody all that fantastic about it. And I think in all the whinging and all that stuff going on about academies and stuff, I do think that, clubs like us probably need to pay a fairer price for that sort of stuff. But we're working within the rules, so whatever.
Well, you're not going to pay overs if you don't have to. That's insane.
Exactly.
And I think people fail to look at our other draft picks. We've had
that's right.
A very, who was the only one that didn't really work? Eli Smith.
Basically, yeah. And I think
you could argue even Dev Rob to a degree.
Well, he would have worked in any other bloody club, basically.
Well, he would have, But it's that kind of element of, if you look at the ones that have had the least amount of impact in terms of, higher draft picks. And I think we've gotten a lot from some of the low down rats in the draft. Noah Answorth and etc. So, good job, draft kings.
Yeah, big time. I think the way we've done the draft and, of course, the trades and free agents we've got in is a perfect mix that's got us to where we are at the moment. And, I hope Dom Ambrosio and Steve Knoll, I hope they don't get poached anywhere else, because they are absolutely integral to where we are at the moment as well. All right, let's get into some votes for the game last night. Thanks to hoponbrewtours.com.au. Father's Day coming up. Make sure you book your dad a tour, or of course, you can get gift vouchers online as well. hoponbrewtours.com.au. 3 votes, Hugh McCluggage for me. 2 votes to Darcy Wilmot, and 1 vote to Josh Dunkley, who's very unlucky to only be getting 1.
I think his goal kicking means that he can only...
Yeah.
I don't think I've seen a guy kick as like a random cobber in the park. The thing is that he doesn't even miss in the same way every time. It's rolling a dice. And it's like, all right, you need that big 6 to make this one go through the sticks, when it should be like a 2+, as it were. Harris Andrews gets the 1, and then Wilmot and the McCluggage man.
Yeah, fair enough.
I mean, I thought Marshall had a really good game. He should get a Rising Star nomination. Now, did you see what I posted? The article about Josh Dacos?
Oh, yeah.
So we talked about it a little bit last week, about that kind of distasteful article about Levi Ashcroft and the Rising Star. I believe by the same guy that did the kind of like Harris Andrews and the All-Australian. Yeah. Now, I think those 2 articles, despite as I described it as we aren't necessarily the squeaky wheel, but there is merit to those 2 articles, I think. I've had a lot to say about Harris Andrews' lack of recognition. But, now, I don't know if anyone else saw it. The AFL on the AFL app released an article saying, all Australian selectors must not forget about Josh Dacos. Not Collingwood Eddie Maguire 20 on their own social platform. The AFL website. So why is it that we cop, as a club, a lot of stick for this one journalist, whereas the AFL does it and everyone's like, they always do it?
Well, yeah, I guess they do always do it.
Anyway, I just thought it was hilarious. I thought it was distasteful.
Ooh.
Very distasteful.
There's a couple
very
of players putting their hand up for that. Zorko would be another one that's putting his hand up for that, or back pocket as well, I think.
Oh, yeah, I think Zorko, I will eat my words again. He should be an All-Australian. And I think... Now, I wrote this in the questions, which is a question I wrote to us.
Yeah,
should I leave it for question time, or should I...
leave it for question time. It'd be a bit of fun. He's obviously signed a deal as well. So he's going to go around again next year and probably break the Brisbane Lions games record, which is, bloody exciting stuff for him. Apparently, Froggy, it's sort of up to him whether he wants to go around, which is a bit strange. I can't fathom a reason why he wouldn't. It's not like Tom Duday's there knocking down the door going, get me in, coach. So I don't see why he couldn't go around for another year. That's a bit of a strange one. Unless he's being classic Ryan Lester and be like, well, okay, if it means me not signing a deal right away means more money for Cal Archie or Brandon Starcevich or something like that, I don't know. I don't know what's going on in his head, but no reason why he shouldn't play again.
No, I agree. Leicester should go around again. Now, just something reminded me. What are your thoughts on that Carl Aim on handball?
Stiff.
Now, I'll caveat with this. We see plenty missed kicks going out of bounds and being called.
I think he was
insufficient
stiff,
intent.
but it's hard to feel bad for them because like we just could not buy a holding the ball free kick last night either. Like the amount of times we had them plumb and just
they kicked. I think they kicked 3 or 4 goals from non-free kick calls or free kicks. So I have no sympathy for them. I thought for a game with relatively low free kick count, man, the umpires made themselves known.
Yeah.
Like there were ones where I think Lloyd Meek went to stiff arm, or someone went to stiff arm, got caught, dropped the ball, and then it bumbled out and went to someone, and it's like, okay. So, I mean, to me, I thought, you're handballing it to a guy 2 meters away on your dominant side, and you missed. Like, sorry,
Yeah. Look. Who knows? The idea, like, he would have handballed it to a teammate and they would have gone out of bounds anyway. I think that would have been like the desired outcome. And then we get a forward 50 stoppage, and then who knows what happens after that anyway. So, yeah.
If it was given against the Lions, I would not have cared. Because I would have been like, come on, Zorko, what the hell are you doing?
Yeah, I probably would. I mean, I guess it's the inconsistencies. The Harris Andrews one, you could argue it's the same thing. Handballing.
Yeah, he handballed it about 35 meters, and also it kind of just dribbled over the line. I mean, it's just doing it better.
Yeah, it's a tough one. But whatever. There's been plenty of discourse about the umpires, and there will be forever and a day. So hopefully Greg Swan can do something to fix all that situation up. As I said, no VFL this week. They have got a final coming up next week. I haven't even had the chance to look at who they're playing or where or when or all that sort of stuff. So, but they ended up just finishing in the 6, which means they get to play finals, and there's a couple of wildcard games and all that sort of stuff. The girls, though, they had their second game and absolutely bollocksed Fremantle, which was bloody good on a surface that was absolutely atrocious. I don't know if you got to see any of this game, but broke our highest score record with 104, and really should have broken the highest AFLW score record as well if it wasn't for Sophie Conway sticking her bloody hand out trying to steal a mark, which was going through from a goal from Charlotte Mullins anyway. So that was a little bit annoying, but they were the quite opposite to the men, insanely accurate. 17 goals, 3 or something they finished on.
If you're going to do it the way that Logan Morris did it to Ashcroft the other week. Make it count. You're going to stick the arm out. So that was one of the 3 behinds.
Yep.
So they kicked, 702?
Yeah, it was crazy.
Well, I feel like they should hang out more.
Definitely. Take some kicking tips. New girl, Nisa Dooley, she had a great debut game. Another girl over from Ireland kicked a couple of goals. I said this on our Twitter page that the taller girls, Talia Hickey and Tay Smith, their follow-up work, their groundwork has improved a lot this year. And then the fitness levels, like some of the girls are noticeably fitter. Like Brie Conan's ground coverage is absolutely insane. She's getting the ball down back, up forward, helping out in the midfield. She's absolutely doing it all. And then, Sophie Conway, Jade Ellinger really stepping up on pretty big 24s as well. Jade Ellinger off that half back now, which she sort of found herself in halfway through the last season. Really good to see the girls go at it again, and a 12-week season. Hopefully they can find themselves up there again.
Yeah, hopefully. I mean, they rely quite heavily on their talent, whereas I think hopefully there's a little bit more sort of defensive structure that kind of goes on, because that's what ultimately undid them against North Melbourne in the grand final, where it was very much a talent v structure, or that's at least the way that I perceived it. So
yeah, I mean, North are going to be up there again. They're off to a flying start, as you can imagine.
Yeah, very, very well coached, which is not to, cast any aspersions at Craig Starcevich, because he's done a great job. But I think it's like he kind of operates on that empowering way of coaching. So
that and fitness, I think they know, because there's only 16 on the ground, that fitness is going to play a massive part, especially when, I guess, skill execution isn't necessarily going to be the biggest factor. So fitness is going to be a huge part, and I think they've really, really stepped that up this year.
Yeah, well, I mean, it kind of goes with what you're saying with the follow-up work, but how else would you expect a former runner to coach?
Yeah, fair enough. Fair enough. All right, so VFL is something to look forward to next week as well. Let's get into some questions for Crisp Communications, chriscoms.co. If you've got a podcast of your own, if you need any marketing for your business, Abby and the team, absolutely fantastic. They can do it all, and they're giving you free Brisbane Lions Fancast stickers. You can get those at our website, brisbanelionsfancast.com.au. So let's go to the Discord here, which a lot of the questions have come through, and you can kick this one off.
Me?
Yeah, because you had a question in there.
No, you've got to ask the question to yourself from me. That's how it works.
Okay. In the Discord, question from Patrick. If Darcy Wilmot was playing for a Big Vic team, would he be a lock for All-Australian? Ooh.
So now what do you think about that one? Good question, don't you think?
Would he be a lock? No, but I certainly think he would be in more of the discussion.
All right, fence sitter.
I think, I mean, like I said last week, I love that Gary Lyon has taken notice and how much he loves Darcy Wilmot, and I hope more start to take notice. So yeah, and obviously when the spotlight's going to be on him a lot more come the final series, when there's only a few games each week, I think hopefully he'll get a few more. And God, he was good on the weekend.
I feel like his personality and his on-field persona are like diametrically opposed. He's so calm and smooth, and then you get him off the field and he's like an abrasive like monkey. It's good. It's that kind of alter ego thing. But to me, this seems like it's his. It's the kind of season he has now that he'll be an All-Australian next year, but it'll be like a combination of the 2 years, if that makes sense.
Yeah, that makes sense. All right, Sean, do you reckon we saw enough from Gallup? Which one of the young guns breaking through will we see most of in finals? Yeah, I think we saw enough from him that he holds his spot. I think if Eric Hipwood was out with a 1 week, 2 week injury, I think it would be pretty easy. Hipwood just come straight back in for Gallup, but because he's out for until a semi or a prelim at least, I think Gallup will hold his spot.
Yeah, I think Hipwood will come back in for the last 2 games of the season. Yep. But I think Gallup's done a lot. I think Marshall's done a lot. I think Marshall will be unlucky to miss when Neil comes back, because I think that to me is a pretty easy swap to be made structure-wise, because you just sort of you float them around. Because who have we got that would prospectively come in or out?
I don't necessarily know about that. You look at the list on Sunday night, and the easy in inverted commas there, Tunstall, Bruce, Marshall. I reckon I'm dropping Bruce and Tunstall for Neil and Berry before Sammy Marshall.
And you would go Marshall on to the sub?
Probably.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's that or Bruce, I think.
Yeah.
And it just depends on whether you want it to be more of an impact thing. And we've seen a bit more longevity out of Bruce in these games. Yeah. So it's a genuine decision that has to be made, hey? So.
Yeah, it'll be one of those. And as we say, thankfully, we're not the ones that have to make this decision. All right, let's keep going in the questions here. There was a question, I can't remember who it was from, but it was a generic question of who is the best player in the league?
I think that this might be a rare Jay Clark win. Oh, maybe they were talking about his top players garbage in the Herald Sun. And it might have been either like Montagna. I think like I caught about 5 minutes of first crack before I realised I had better things to do with my life. Between Lee and Kingy sort of saying, hey, maybe you need to weight the importance of the games when you talk about like how good people are in terms of statistically whatevers, which is an extraordinarily difficult thing. But I think McCluggage's big game lifting, like, he's kicked multiple goals in grand finals, or, goals in grand finals. He's stood up in grand finals. He's stood up in finals. he's stood up in important like as far as big game players go, he's right up there. And
he's inside and outside work, and he's tackling. Like his defensive game has come a long way as well, and that's the last 2 years especially, like outstanding.
But even then, you can go back to like the Melbourne 22 game, or even some of the stuff against Richmond back in the day where he played big games and we won. They're there. Other players that are big on the bigs. It's the ones that come to mind in terms of not quite there, but kind of overhyped. Guys like Ed Richards. Like, where does he go in the big games? The Bulldogs were comparatively quite awful against quality opponents. We all love the Bont, but it's like they don't win big games. He was good in the 21 grand final.
Yeah,
and
it was
they lost.
Huge.
But it just seems like he can only drag them so far. Nick Dacos, for all of his annoyance, is quite a decent big game player, I think. Any other ideas for you?
Probably hasn't had the chance to prove it on the big stage yet, but I think Jordan Dawson, he can go forward. He can take pack marks. He's good overhead. He's a fantastic midfielder. He's one of the best kicks in the AFL. And if you need him, he can go behind the ball as well. I think Jordan Dawson's all-around game is pretty elite, but I'm an unabashed Jordan Dawson fan. I'm genuinely excited to see what he can do for his team in finals.
Good call. I think the Brownlow race, I know the Brownlow and the coaches and stuff like that, they're all compromised to various degrees. But I think I'm hoping that there's a bit more. You got Dawson, you've got
Rao and Anderson,
the Gold Coast
well.
guys, up there. Like, they've had really good home and away seasons, so I don't think it'll be kind of the runaway, Nick Dacos show that I think some people are probably expecting. Plus, you've got some decent stuff coming out of the West as well. Sarong, I'm sure, will be up there.
Yeah, he won't have too many to pinch votes from him, I suppose, especially while Hayden Young's been missing for a good portion of the year.
I think Lockie Neal, this bad boy.
That's something to watch in the future, actually, when we're discussing, best players in the league. I think Hayden Young's got the potential to be, a top 5 player.
Yeah, he just needs to not mess around with this kind of off-season recovery and things like that. I don't know if you remember the preseason where he's like, I haven't had a great preseason, but I'll be able to give it a crack. And it was like, nah, have some endless injuries, buddy.
Yeah, and I think probably just like the best players, and you see it from Lockie Neal and Hugh McCluggage, they're never sort of happy with what they've achieved, and they're always looking to add different layers to their game. And I think Hugh McCluggage is a big one for that. As we've said, fantastic outside player and ball user, but then the last 2 months he's tackling, as I said, and then his inside work and just the way he can manipulate himself and his body to get in the best position, and just his footy IQ and nous is gone to a next level. And we saw Lockie Neal, who 2-time Brownlow winner, he was always known for his clean hands, his ground ball work, but then there was that 2 years ago or whatever, he's like, hey, his kicking's come along such a way as well, and then he's just adding that, and then it's like next level to that. It's like, okay, well, now my kicking's, I've worked on that, I want to add scoreboard pressure and be a goal kicking mid and all that sort of stuff. So and that's sort of what I was
say the expression.
I don't know, actually.
He wants to add more.
Yeah. I don't know that he wants
add more arrows to his quiver.
It's just that's the sort of traits you're looking for, and I guess in the best players out there. Whereas a lot of players are just sort of happy to be like Clayton Oliver and Petrarca are probably as good as they'll ever be. Cripps is probably as good as he's been a fantastic player for such a long time, but I think hasn't necessarily, and maybe this is just an ignorant thing coming from a non-Carlton supporter, it doesn't appear that he's added much more to his game over the years. He's just been blessed with being a big-bodied mid, and that's got him through where he needs to go. Like, he's pretty handy overhead, and he can move forward. But yeah.
Yeah, I mean, we know what I think about Josh Dunkley.
Yes.
First name on my team if I'm making any team, which we did that exercise, and wasn't that a fun one?
If only you could kick.
If only he could kick. Maybe he should spend some time with the women in the off-season, just sending them through. So, any other questions?
Yeah, there was a couple more here. Who do you think from the club will make the All-Australian squad? And ultimately, who do you think will make the team that's from Sea Turtles?
So the squad. I'm going to go with I'm going to cast a wide net on the squad front, I think. I'm going to go Logan Morris, Rayner, Bailey, McCluggage, Dunkley, Wilmot, Harris Andrews, and Zorko making the squad with a big 8.
Jeez. I don't know.
And the team, I think, will be Harris and Zorko.
Yep. I think that'll probably be it for the team. Bailey might be an outside chance if they can find a spot for him on the bench, perhaps. He started hot, and his last month or so has been pretty good as well. He had a few sort of down games in the middle there. Rayner. Oh, God, Rayner's a difficult one.
Rayner he was the number 1 rated general forward for about a 6-week stretch not too long ago where he was just pasting them.
Yeah. No, I think
Rayner's had a better year this year than last year when he was put in the squad.
Yeah. One thing about Cammy Rayner this year as opposed to last year, and it's been said, is that even if he has a quiet start, it's not like, oh, okay, Cam Rayner's having a quiet day today. It's like, okay, Cam Rayner's had a quiet start, but we know he can come out in the second half and absolutely tear it apart, and he did that again last night. And his ranking points, even though he only touched the ball once or twice in the first quarter, his ranking points were well up there towards the end of the game. So he was absolutely fantastic. I think Zorko, Andrews, and I think they have to find room for McCluggage this year. They have to.
If they don't, it's going to be like, what the fuck are they doing? And seriously, it'll be
I know
like...
it's exceptionally hard because, there's a lot of great midfielders, but they have to.
Yeah. I mean, given there has to be an element of like, that guy got robbed by Jack McRae as a winger. And then as soon as Josh Dacos played on the wing, they're like, oh, we have to have bona fide wingers so we can put them on the same line and have Nick Dacos be a centre, which he's never been.
Yep.
So I assume that was just for the family vibes, as the kids say. But yeah, they got to find room for McCluggage. And I think Logan Morris should be put in the squad based on the volume of goals he's got at such a young age. Like, I think it's as impressive as any other forward this year. Quite frankly.
Yeah, maybe. I don't know. Like, I'm sort of happy that he made the 22 under 22 team, but you think of the forwards that have had good years. Obviously, Jeremy Cameron, Gunston, Phil Thorpe. Like, how many tall forwards can you actually have in the squad?
Yeah, I suppose it's more looking at the age and going, like, look at what this is for what it is.
Yeah.
Which I suppose you could counter-wise look at what Gunston did.
I completely agree with your logic there. I just don't know that the All-Australian selection squad will have that same thought process, unfortunately.
Probably not, but he would be in my All-Australian list.
One more from Guavocado. Just a general one. Which opposition teams do you guys hate the most? It's Hawthorn for him.
I'm a simple man. I have basically 2 tiers. One is teams I hate. One is apathy. And the teams in apathy are like Fremantle, GWS, and basically it, I think. The rest I hate.
I see. Sure. Right, well, there you go.
Do I hate some more than others? Yes, but it depends on who we're playing this week.
Well, Geelong.
Yeah, not this week, next week. It is worth noting I did give my answer will come as no surprise to anybody to that, so that's what I think.
Fair enough. You know me, I don't like Port Adelaide. For a while I didn't like GWS, but they've grown on me somewhat. Essendon can go jump. Yeah, Collingwood I don't hate as much as probably a lot of people do and should. And then
I find Collingwood to be so remarkably boring and dull that they kind of don't warrant an element of like, it's like you think of guys like Myercheck and like Jamie Elliott, and you're like, who cares? Like, you don't hate him because they're so boring? Oh, so boring.
Yeah, I mean, Craig McRae shits me. He's just sort of smug and condescending. But the club itself, I don't mind. I think it's the supporters that can be. Not all of them, but, the vocal ones, God. Anyway, but every club's got them. So, yeah, who cares, I suppose, in the end there.
Other footy stuff. Now, did we want to talk about the AFL's big drop of the ball regarding Rankin?
Yeah,
do we want to say anything more than that it should have been 5 weeks? And then
obviously, yes, you set the precedent. You made a big song and dance about it last year. Jeremy Finlayson got 3. Will Power got 5. And every time you said, that's it, guys. Like, this is it. Like, if you do it, it's not getting any better. Graham got 4, but he self-reported. Lance Collard got 6. Riak Andrew got 5. So that's the precedent. Like, if you're going to say, hey, we're taking this seriously, zero tolerance, all that sort of stuff, and then drag it out for best part of a week, only to go, okay, I guess you can have 4. Now, obviously, no one knows what's going on with the compelling medical submissions or any of that sort of gear, but I don't know. If you're going to make a stand, make a fucking stand.
I can't wait for someone to bring up compelling medical evidence in support of a mental health thing on a regular suspension. Be like, but he'll, I thought Jared Waitley said it extremely well. He had cut a bit of a promo or a bit of a monologue about it. What do they call in the theatre game, those things? Soliloquy. His soliloquy was fantastic. I don't get it. What I'll say is that I don't think he'll play in a grand final either way, because they'll either win their first final and he won't play, or they'll lose their first final and they won't make a grand final. So,
But like all this nonsense about then you can't have Snoop Dogg, and then all this outside rubbish, and the whole time Adelaide's going, oh no, he'll copy, he'll accept whatever sanction he gets, but in the meantime they're like dragging it out for, as I said, best part of a week. And I understand every club would have done the same thing with one of their star players to try and do absolutely everything they could to get them available to play a game.
I don't agree with that. I would like to think that the Lions wouldn't do that, but
yeah. I
think for Adelaide, they should have made a stand and said, regardless of what this result is, he won't play again this season.
Yeah, I mean, that's in a perfect world, but we're not living in a perfect world. We're living in a world where money and wins and losses mean more than a moral compass sometimes.
I mean, the Snoop Dogg stuff I don't really understand. I'm not a big Snoop aficionado. I did think last year with the Katy Perry thing was a little bit tone deaf, with her affiliation with Dr. Luke on that pro-woman song was a little bit tone deaf, but
sure.
different altogether. The source of that is, or my source for that is my partner, so any questions can go there. What else have we got? Finals.
It is shaping up to be a very interesting first qualifying final now, with Collingwood and Adelaide back at the Adelaide Oval.
I've got to admit, I did do a ladder predictor, and I've been probably about 3 weeks ago. I'm not normally a fan of it, but I think that Gold Coast's fumble is kind of to the betterment of the idea of Gold Coast and Adelaide getting a free hit playing a final against one another for finals experience. Worst case scenario. I can see I think Collingwood will make the grand final.
Really?
Yes, I think they'll beat Adelaide. That doesn't mean I think they'll win a grand final.
Yeah, it's a tough one. Because if I had done a ladder predictor 3 weeks ago, there's no way it would look anything like it does now.
Mine's not that far off what I stumbled upon. It was interesting after the Geelong game that we played down here. I said to, I worked the day after and gave a lot of stick to a lot of Geelongians, and said, well, it doesn't matter. You'll finish second, we'll finish third. You've got an absolute canter into the finals, to which they obviously stumbled once more than we kind of hoped, but got there in the end. So I've got. I think Collingwood will go and they'll beat Adelaide. I think Adelaide's in tight games. We saw it against us. We saw it in the first showdown, and we saw it against Collingwood. They might have won some of those games, but their sort of kill the game strategy is awful. It is not good. So I think they'll get found out in finals.
Well,
I don't know they'll go out in straight sets, but I could easily see them going out in straight sets.
It wouldn't be completely unheard of. They've got a lot of talent.
Well, we can tell you.
Yeah, that's true. I mean, remarkable similarities. They went from 15th all the way to first. We went 15th to second and then bottled it. So, yeah. Like I said, it wouldn't be.
I mean, we lost to both grand finals. So we did go through a string of years where we lost
just
to
played
the grand finals. Which it just showed that we were not quite in the best two teams.
Yeah,
which is fine.
It's still a tough one. I still think like anyone on their day, if they produce their best, as you've said a number of times, our best is the best. Collingwood's best is good. Adelaide's best is really good. GWS, when they produce their best, is bloody good. We don't have to think about the Dogs anymore. Obviously, the Suns, we know what their best looks like. So it's going to be a fantastic final series, regardless. And then the Cats as well.
Yeah, I think, the way that I've got it looking is I think that the Giants will belt Gold Coast in the first round, but they might not play them. They might play Hawthorn instead. But
yeah,
I've got the Gold Coast knocking Adelaide out in the elimination and then playing us. So I've got us playing Geelong, GWS, and then either Geelong and Collingwood again.
Jeez.
So, yikes.
Yeah. I mean, there's not going to be an easy run for anyone.
No, it's just going to be a matter of enjoying it. And, we're doing something that we talked about last week that neither of the previous two finalists, premiers have done, which is make finals. We made finals in the top four. And we've just got to enjoy it. We've got to assert our dominance in the way that we can and play our best football. And that will be the way forward. And it'll be fun,
It will be.
Will it be fun?
I hope so. I don't...
Good.
Can it be as fun as last year? Hopefully.
Yeah, but just remember that the second half against Carlton and the first three quarters against GWS was people, and us, I'm sure included, were unanimous in that was possibly collectively the four worst quarters we played.
Yeah, true.
Let's go to the last quarter against Carlton and the first three against GWS. No good.
All right, well, before we wrap up, there is still one more home and away season game to go on Wednesday. And I don't know that tipping... Let me just check. I don't know that tipping goes into the finals. No, it does not.
What?
So,
why wouldn't it?
I don't know. Not enough to... I don't know. But unless anything ridiculous happens... the winner of the Brisbane Lions Fancast tipping competition at this stage is Benny S with Beef Tips. So a big congratulations to Benny S Beef Tips. Hold on, now that I'm at work, I might actually.
Can you add in a soundboard? Have you got it there? I can't remember.
Is it? Oh, it's not working. No, fair enough.
Well, just add in post raucous applause.
Yes. Well, maybe it's come up on my end anyway. Doesn't matter. Applause are there.
Now, okay, that's all fair. Did I beat you?
Yes, you did. By quite a bit in the end.
All I wanted.
And you want to know why? It's because I made the decision not to dip Brisbane. in the last couple of weeks, and I'm glad I did.
Did I beat you by more than 2 though?
I mean, probably. I think I finished 60th, and I think
I'm 42. So I climbed because I started off horribly tipping North Melbourne consistently in the first 5 rounds.
That's right. Yeah, you beat me by 4 in the end.
And I believe about round 7, I stopped tipping with my heart and tipping with my head. Not that North Melbourne are close to my heart. I just thought that they were cool. I thought they were due. Now, the big question is, do you reckon anyone... I don't think anyone could have won the gauntlet because West Coast never won a game after the gauntlet started.
Yeah, they won St Kilda. That would have been after the gauntlet, surely.
Devil's in the details. Let's do the wheel.
No.
No wheel?
No, because I'm not set up for it at work. So there'll be no wheel today. It's a wheel off. It's a bye week for the wheel.
Tell the children.
It's a pre-finals bye week for the wheel. The wheel will return next week.
How did the wheel go last week?
I can't really recall who was on the wheel.
Steph Martin and...
Oh, that's right. It was the and Jack Payne, the 2 athletic bloody
the bodies.
Big boys, yeah. And it looks like this is just coming through that Geelong Brisbane on Friday night.
Well, that's fun.
Yep, there you go. Geelong Brisbane Friday night at the MCG 7:40.
Oh, good for them. And that's in, 2 weeks or whatever?
Yep.
Oh, cool. Cool. Oh, that'll be fun.
So we'll be back next week to do a full preview of that one.
I might be making a cameo on Further North this week as well.
Hey, nice.
I don't know. Talking about Brandon Starcevich. So I don't know how well I'll do because I actually think that him going to North Melbourne would be a horrible match.
Yep.
But because what do they have in abundance? Mids.
Yep.
And I think he will be deluded if he thinks that he's going to North Melbourne to play midfield. So maybe it'll be 2 sentences and I'll dip. You never know.
He'll certainly go for more money, if nothing else.
Yeah, but then you're having to move to Melbourne and, there's all that. It's my birthday tomorrow.
Hey! Everyone wish Patrick a happy birthday. Jump in the Discord, jump on our socials. And Beef Tips, if you're listening, get in touch. Shoot us like a screenshot of your tipping account at any of our socials or blfancast@gmail.com. And we'll organise a prize for you.
Sounds good. I don't know what the prize is. We'll come up with something.
We will.
A signed Sharon that's 10 years old.
Ooh,
Actually, that's not a bad one.
I think I've got a signed Alex Withard and Sharon somewhere.
Yeah, but it needs to be signed by us. Who gives a shit about Alex Witherden? I'll sign my old Sharon that I got in 2000 and... No. When did I get it? 2018, maybe?
Right.
I'll sign it, send it to you. You can send it to this cobber.
All right. He may not get in touch.
It has
that's on offer.
It's well used.
All right. Well, with that, we'll see you next week. Another final series is on the horizon. How good?